Hey everybody, welcome back to Age of Bison, coming in here for Game 3 of our semifinals between Los Mofokis, Lewis, and Danny over here up in the north, and versus Team Nilla Ninjas, Daro and Frank the Tank, two longtime and well-established members of our community. For those of you that watched Game 2, a little bit of a correction. Los Mofokis won Game 1. I do apologize. It's been about 2 weeks, and I've been out, doing freedom stuff, so my brain's still probably recovering. Um, but the series is now tied. This is a best of five. This is Central Asia's. This is the choice of Lewis and Danny to pick the map, and I am expecting quite the show. And I am joined here today by my good friend and co-caster Stefan. Stefan, how's it going?
Hello, hello. It was a good 4th of July. I am down one hand, but I've been down one hand for a while, so it wasn't due to
this,
fireworks.
this is true. If you were down another one though, that might crimp your play style.
That might be a little hard if I were to go down another one.
Exactly. Well, we are here on the wonderful map of Central Asia. I really like this map because this map promotes violence. I know a lot of people do not like it because it promotes violence and raiding and civilian war crimes and all of those wonderful things that can really swing a game back and forth. So, enough about my thoughts. I'm going to start the counter, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this map, this matchup, and kind of anything that you think might happen or predictions.
Well, if there's anything that the Age of Bison casting channel depends on, it's war crimes. That is important. It's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly.
But we're looking at, with Luis and Danny, we are looking at two DE civs because I don't think anyone can call Ottomans at this point a vanilla civ. But we're looking at Ottomans and Ethiopia. And anyone who's been poking around on the civ grid recently knows that Ethiopia is underrated. It is a secret powerhouse. It's got a lot of strength in that civ and not heavily used.
Mm.
On the other side, we've got Darren Frank the Tank with two vanilla civs with Spain and Germany. So we're looking at two civs here that than likely are wanting to look at an FF situation. Now, it's not required for Spain, and we don't know what Darrow is planning with Germany, but those are their characteristics. And
True.
for Otto, then who knows?
Yeah, Ottoman, very strong Civ. I will say, as someone that actually played Ottoman on this map, I did not use it, but these Tengri, I just love all the prayer flags and forget the name of the structure. They actually have an Age of Empires 4 too. Uvu,
Uvu, I think? Yeah.
yeah. But there's this tech that makes all of your cavalry faster, which, oh god, on Delhi, in Age 2 in particular, or Age 3 when it unlocks. Regardless, it's good. It's really freaking good. Frank, though, taking a pretty aggressive trade post, right? So I think what he's trying to do is lock the trade route out of auto.
That's very aggressive.
But something about Lewis is I've noticed that he plays his Ottoman a bit differently. He goes with a house and a market, which is kind of an interesting play. A more economical approach to Ottoman, really showcasing again how flexible the Civ has become. For those wondering about the Nilicon, as you can see, even their villagers now have unique skins and a unique uniform. So it is quite different than it was before. But let's get into decks. Okay, take a
Bruh.
guess.
I wonder what he's going for.
He does have the relatively new cards, though, in this deck. He's got Liberation March to make his units faster. He has Team Falconet, really wonderful card, along with
Really
the
good card.
Team Heavy Cannon card. And he also has House to Trastamara, which, based on the shipments, can give him a very cheap Age 4 or 5. Daro, 2, yep. This looks like a very standard German deck. Germantown Farmers is an interesting choice. I dabble with many, and I'm good with few, if any. Civs, including Germany in 2v2. This is one of those cards that probably won't make a huge difference in this game, but it can help Germany remain a powerhouse instead of losing a lot of its focus. Let's see here. Naturalist, OP. Oh,
Oh,
Lewis,
okay.
I love your names, man. OP. Okay, so Ottoman. Yep. And this looks like your standard Ottoman deck. You've got the Lakota in a bottle card, Akachini, You've got all the cav upgrades. Not a lot of unit shipments, including not even 2 great bombards. So that could be a bit of weakness. He's got the supply
Interesting.
port though. Interesting to have that and not the church tech though. He's sending it now. Okay, so we are going to see it. This is interesting. It really is. I'm curious what he's doing with it. I'm going to hold off on watching Danny's deck for a second. Sorry, viewers, but I'm just curious. I've never seen Sublime Port used outside of Riot Coke's build.
Yeah, what is his plan of action here?
Okay, I guess he's just going to make lots of structures, including Artillery Foundry. Okay.
Oh, and Darrow is put there? Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're locking down the trade line at this point.
Okay, it was Quartermaster. I didn't see it, but it's Germany. Frank the Tank now, kind of a slow age up, aging up with the Naturalist. Okay, now Danny, Ethiopia. We will take a look at the deck. Posada. This looks like he wants to go for Giskenia, right? So Giskenia, really underutilized
Like
Musk. The Oromo Whoopsie Villager card, right? I like this one. You get raided, you send it. Whoopsies, lost my vills, 15 back. It's a good card, legitimately. And it looks like he is got all of the other kind of standard Ethiopian stuff. This is a Civ that is pretty flexible, so he's got eco upgrades. He's got this like tower tech. I like it. I think there's a lot of options there, right? He can go Shotel, he can go Giskenia. It looks like he can go into Neftenia if he needs to. And he's got the forward war camps here. All right, so you've got 2 artillery. Is that what he's doing? Did he sell all of his wood to be able to afford all of his eco techs? Okay, and then also get a bunch of Obus out.
Okay.
Ooh, that is a lot of Ulans, though.
Yeah. And the question is there going to be enough Gaskenia out to compensate? And it looks like there will be. There's at least 1 full batch out.
Yep. And these Giskenia, like you said, they're kind of a squishy musk, but they're also very fast. They do more DPS closer that they get, and they have a little bit more range. It's definitely a very kind of glass cannon, micro-intensive musk. We actually had quite the lively debate the other day about specifically the utilization of using these with the Sebastopol mortar, and I think the general consensus was it's not Jan Falk, but both of those units have a lot of utility that's often unexplored in the Civ because, put simply, the natives are very good. All right, so it looks like we've got our first fight.
And we already have a slight advantage on that. There's been some chip damage out. But that is a lot of Ulans.
That is a lot of Ulans. Doing okay here. Yeah, you know what? Looking at this now, too, Lewis, he's got both of these, but is he able to get the maximum use of the Obus?
Well, he got 7 out. So, but the problem is he's got to get away from those Ulans.
Yep. Now those Ulans will die fairly fast, this Giskenia, but they're Ulans. And they just do so much damage. Yeah, I think they're going to brute through because the Giskenia are a little bit more flimsy. They do have higher hand attack. And they do a lot of damage with the range, so they do clean up the Ulans. Okay.
But there are more out already. There's already a full batch.
There's crossbow, which just do nothing, Bruce, is the abuse guns.
Can't do anything.
How dare you bring a crossbow to an Abus fight?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is looking really commanding here. I think Lewis and Danny, they have one hell of an advantage right now. It looks like another batch of Obus are going to come out. These Giskenia, this is a gnarly combo. I don't think there's any way to put it. Streaming in for reinforcements.
8 Abus that are going to come out there. Oh. Okay. Are they going to get that stable down before pop? No.
Nope.
Okay, the pop came out.
So now what do you do? You've got this huge mass. You still don't really have a TP, which is definitely something that might have benefited Lewis in hindsight, but Again, his macro is probably very tight, and I'd be curious to see his exact steps if he watches is kind enough to put it in the chat. But wow, he's killing Spanish vills, and those are, Spain's economy is not the most robust. And ooh, good
Ulan's are
job
getting
though.
an intercept.
Yep, snags one. And, oh God, we're about to probably see the mother of all raids, aren't we? All right, we're gonna
Yes.
watch here though, because I feel like the best thing to do would just be start ripping down all these houses for Germany, especially because look at that, he's out of coin.
Yeah, how is he can't effectively produce out of anything right now. But I would make sure you keep those Gasconia very close.
Exactly. All right, is he gonna pay attention? Oh no.
Oh no, this is bad. This is a very bad round.
Yeah, Minutemen getting popped. The rods too in melee, they absorb so much damage. Ooh,
This is not looking good.
this is grim. Wow, they just in seconds. Wow. What
Wow,
a
that's a
swip.
complete wipe.
That is, but it's not necessarily over. They've done a good deal of damage, and
Absolutely
Danny,
not.
again, they still have this Giskinny, they still have a decently sized Obus mess. They just got to figure out a way to shut these Yulons down. I would expect to start making goons, but he's going to keep making the Giskinny. I guess once you've committed to him, right?
Mm-hmm. It might be a bit of sunk cost fallacy coming in here, but he is committed.
Ooh, House of Trastamara for the cheap age up. Or just sending something, I guess. Just for now, let's see. A Rod. Still looking strong with the Archaic HP. Kind of an interesting position we fire. So I think definitely Darla and Frank the Tank just kind of regained initiative. If you look at the Vilcat here, 33 for Spain, 23 and whatever amount of Avens and mountain monasteries for Ethiopia, 29 for Ottos.
Cows.
Yeah, and cows. Although I think he's out. Oh, geez, he is not out. And Germany also a good deal. So, yeah, I think it's just this Yulon mass. It's growing.
And Germany is sending Palatine houses right now, which is an uncommon choice.
A lot of players like it. I mean, it's like a comfort card, right? Because you don't have to it's like 1,000 wood shipment in Age 2 over the course of the game, but you have to invest 1,000 wood.
Yeah.
So it's good. It saves you a lot of stuff, but it definitely isn't always in every deck. It's definitely up to the player thing. But I would imagine we're about to see all these Yulons just jump.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Okay.
Oh, they're actually going to get an intercept up north on some Abyss by the looks of it.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Rip.
Rip.
And that's huge. That is so much coin. It's literally the same cost as the Yulon. Now, are they going to be able to get a kind of like a sandwich? Probably not.
No, the Ulans are going to get away here. Oof. Yeah, that was 8 Abyss that just ate it.
And I would guess, yep, Stagecoach taking the trade line. Excellent job there by team Nilla Ninjas there again. Take these trade lines. And with Auto not having anything on it, it cost them basically nothing. And that will turbo boost their eco. And I think from there, they're going to start scaling, especially against Auto that's stuck in Age 3, very fast. So Ottoman probably needs to figure out how to just make me look like a fool. Ottoman already on the way to Age 3. The power of
I
Ottoman.
think you just cut the Abyss production and even though it doesn't look like you did, sheesh.
Yeah. The power of Ottoman at full display or not even a trade post. Wow, this is just incredible. The Civ is so good. But Lewis here also making good choices.
First up.
And yeah, are they just going to right click? They might just right click because they're realizing, look, we do not want this game to go long. If these Obus somehow get veteran, but she looks like he's going for Cav Archers. Okay. Nice. Kind of a little bit of a sneaky stable there coming down, but all right. Yeah, these Yulons now getting on top of everything. There's just so many.
Yeah, there's too much here.
So here's Danny. Yep, he's trying to double produce. He's got a lot of influence too, but I think at this point there's just way too much. And the last stand in Central Asia, the last Thomas. Wow. In fact, oh, I thought he was gonna make it, get stabbed.
Nope,
Uh,
get stabbed.
I think this is probably over. Again, looks like Danny here. He's got a shipment. He's got a lot of influence too, but he doesn't probably have a palace, which I think is yeah how Ethiopia normally does it. He calls the GG, realizing there's probably no way back into this game. Danny as well. Yep, Danny and Lewis both call the GG, and wow, that was another pretty intense game there here on Central Asia. Stefan, what are your initial thoughts?
So one pattern that we're noticing, I think, in these semifinals is these two teams clash heavily in age two, sitting back at any time, at any point in the, and a lot of these shift in these games
Oops, sorry,
where,
you were cutting
oh,
out pretty bad there for a second.
am I coming back in?
Yep, you're back.
All right, cool. So I think these two teams are seeing a lot of early game age two play, and with all the ones in this previous series, they've been hitting each other hard early, and they haven't been shying back from that. So that's been good to see. It's really entertaining to watch. And we're also seeing a lot of these really minor shifts, these little nudges here or there that shift the game direction so heavily, where, you know, Luis and Danny were able to take so much control early, and then with one good surround by Frank the Tank and Darrow, pushed it back the entire other direction. So really interesting dynamics going on here, and the series is made for some really entertaining age two into age three play, and it's good to see that these civs can behave like that. And that, look at Ottoman. They are out there, they're pushing Avis in age two, and they were doing a really good job with it. And what we saw, particularly Darrow here, respond perfectly to it with Miss Ulan. And I think it was just a really good exchange here.
I agree. I think it was Madonna once described that when Age of Empires 3, especially the high level often, is at its best. It's kind of like a dance, right? There's a lot of movement back and forth. There's a lot of coordination. There's a lot of kind of, planning and trying to, get somewhere, right? And I really have enjoyed these first three games because to me, these are the games that I live for. These are the games I hope I roll every time I play, which, as we all know, it's not always how Age of Empires 3 goes, but these are the nuggets that to me are just absolutely peak Age of Empires 3. Again, you have two very strong civs, or at least some 1v1s, right? Ottoman and Ethiopia, but they're not leaning into like what you would call a bot kind of strategy, right? Like they were using the Giskeni, which you do not see a lot, and they did really well. Even on those surrounds, they did as good as they could for effectively being 2v1, right? Like they
Mhm.
were doing good. It was just the coordination and micro, and perhaps mixing a little bit more anti-cav from Ottoman, like shipping 5 Jans. Um, maybe double Foundry might have been a bit too greedy, like maybe Jan, um, Barracks and Foundry would have been a bit better in hindsight, but or also mixing in some
Yeah,
Javelin Riders.
I'm absolutely in agreement. I think the double foundry was a little on the greedy side. Or if he had gone Jan, and if, you know, Danny had gone for Jav Riders, I think you might have gotten more of a good, well rounded roster. So that might have been a little too greedy, but his macro was on point. He was getting value out of it. He might not have been getting full value from the production buildings, but he was certainly getting them out more than five at a time per cycle. He was getting seven or eight on most batches. So it was executing it well, but I do agree. I think that was a little on the greedy side.
It was, but again, kudos to him for kind of being brave enough to try a card that you don't see all the time, the Sublime Port. Very good card. Probably one of the best resource exchange cards in the entire game. So I really enjoyed the idea behind it. But yeah, I agree. It was just a little bit off. And at this high level, the tiniest of things, right? You make one mistake halfway through, you're kind of committed to it too, right? Ethiopia at least can kind of flex around. One of the weaknesses of Ottoman is, like any Euro Civ, if you build a foundry, you're usually limited to 1 unit in H2 or 2 units, right? If you build a Rax, you get
Hmm.
1 to 2 units. If you build a stable, you probably get 1 unit. And so you really have to kind of commit to any strategy that you do, which he did. They had great pressure. The game was actually, I think they absolutely could have won this fight. If they would have perhaps ripped down the houses a bit, if they would have been able to protect their units and mixed in just a few more anti-cav, I think they'd win this game pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they'd more focused maybe up on Darrow's side, go for the top of the map and make it easier for an escape. But more houses. But let's take a look at our end of game.
Yeah, so looking at, well, let's look at Bill Pop because Germany's in. So Frank the Tank's team taking a pretty commanding lead. We got Ottoman, kind of a tricky civ. Um, Slow producing villagers, right? So even with his economy, again, perhaps grabbing the TP line a bit could have helped. But again, hindsight's such 2020. I mean, these are all ideas to hopefully anyone that's watching and to these players moving forward. But I would definitely say you guys played pretty well and you've proven that you know what you're doing. So military unit population. Yeah, I mean, look at it. They took this great fight and they definitely had the advantage all the way till this fight, till that surround.
Mm-hmm.
And they remasked, but by then, it's just going and going. And by here, it's looking pretty grim. They go to H3. They're just not. If you would have had like a minute or two more, Ottoman probably could have had enough Cav archers out to deal with that Yulan mass, but just didn't happen. So, um, yeah, more resources overall gathered throughout the game. So, impressive thing here. We close out our game three, which means we are now looking at a game four of a best of five. So we will see if Team Los Mofogis can tie it up again and go to the game point, or if the Nilla Ninjas will close this out. Stefan, any last minute thoughts or comments before I give the final spiel?
Really good game, really good match, lots of back and forth, just good game. And I just wanted to hit on one point that you had commented on earlier is that Age of Empires 3 is really, it can turn on a pin, maybe more so than other RTSs, do the shipments and batch training, all these things. So you see a lot of these flips like that. And I think it's makes it really interesting to watch these games like that because, like you were saying about Madonna saying, it's a dance back and forth, and it's more like a samba or something fast-paced, rapidly turning game sometimes, and it makes for some really entertaining.
It does. And it's been a great. So before we go here, first off, do not eat salmon that look like this. These are spawned out salmon. I don't know why. It's been since Legacy though, but you should never eat a salmon this red or this color. These are called spawned out. It means they are rotting alive. It's not good food unless you are a bear, which case is absolutely wonderful. But if you're a bear and you're watching this, well, don't tell anybody. I don't know how you got this far. Um,
If you're a bear and you're watching this, I'm very impressed.
I'm very impressed, and I am. Boy, does the pup have the right explorer for you. But anyways, this has been Platypus Slayer. I totally agree, Stefan. I have enjoyed playing these games, and I'm going to close this out now because I am looking forward to our game four, which if Frank the Tank and Dara win, they will go on to the finals. Here in a couple weeks, that will be casted live on General Spade's Twitch channel. We'll also try to get the VODs uploaded to YouTube as well. Um, if you've liked all of our content so far, feel free to like and subscribe. Just for everyone to know, again, this is game three of our semifinals of our 2v2 tournament. The prize pool now is all the way up to $250, of which the winner of this series gets a shot at 125 plus the other 125 will be given to whoever had the best game of the entire tournament, right? Because that was our way of trying to give everybody a chance at some ducats and some money. So if you've seen any games that stood out to you that you thought were amazing, please let us know in the comments. Um, we will be collecting it at the conclusion of our tournament from our Discord, from the YouTube comments, and from basically anywhere else. So again, just let us know. I've already said like and subscribe. And I really look forward to seeing all you guys on the next one here at Age of Bison. Have a good one.